Alright kids, welcome to the morning commute. Big news regarding one of AEW's top stars, MJF, who we know has been out with multiple injuries since World's End. Maybe even longer than that, because he was very open about the fact that he was hurt and probably not cleared. He was trying to see if his injury would heal naturally with like physical therapy and whatnot. Sources reported that it looks like that wasn't the case and he was not able to, so he recently underwent surgery, sounds like this past weekend, which means an even longer timetable for his return. And this is big news because, you know, we're almost in May. We're just about in May, and would have marked about 5 months. And I don't know what the recovery timetable is for, is it the torn labrum? I think it was. At the very least, it was a torn labrum. I don't know what the other thing he had was, but it's going to be even longer than we thought. And that kind of stinks too, because he was really looking to wrap up his program with Adam Cole, who also appears to be recovered from an injury. If he's going to take even longer to recover, we might not see him until the winter time. I think it's very interesting how, like, MJF, his character at the very least, is like, I don't like to wrestle. And he probably wrestled the most he's ever wrestled in his career in the tail end of last year. Really just the whole year. And so he actually wrestled more than got injured. Again, a timetable like that, recovery, he might not be back till the end of this year. If I had to make an estimate. And at that point, it's like, do you still even want to do the Adam Cole thing? How do you, like, rejuvenate that rivalry so that people care about it again? Because, you know, right now we have him coming back and he's walking again, and that's cool. But the Undisputed Kingdom stuff, in my opinion, I'm not, like, super sold on it. I guess it works for Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, because to me, right now, they're just kind of like background guys. Sure, they're the ROH Tag Team Champions, but, like, you know, Wardlow, I hate to say it, he's got to go to WWE, or he's got to go somewhere else where he'll be used correctly. I'm just not buying it anymore, and it's not entirely his fault. You know, he had a lot of momentum with the TNT Championship when he broke up with MJF. I think it was just a faction to be a faction. The only person of note really in the faction is Roddy Strong. Like, not even Adam Cole, who's like the leader. Roderick Strong is the one that feels like the most important member, and that's because he has the international championship. So that's an interesting development in the whole MJF Devil saga, what have you. Part of me is like, I hope they revisit it. Part of me is like, I kind of hope they just kind of move on from it, and then maybe they meet up again in the future and have a nice little program. But it's wrestling. Only time will tell. Of course, we have the fallout from last Wednesday's Dynamite, where we had the whole incident with Tony Khan getting pile driven. Jack Perry coming out saying, I want to talk to Tony Khan, I want to be reinstated, yada, yada, yada. Crowd's hot for Jack Perry, Cry Me a River music playing. Like, I won't die on the hill, but I'll guard the hill a little bit. Like, I still don't think the all-in footage was a great idea, and I'll probably talk to Mufussy about this later on in the evening commute. I don't necessarily think it was a good idea to air that footage even now where we're seeing the payoff. I don't know, it's like, when they aired it, I was like, why? This is just a response to Ariel Helwani's interview and the comments CM Punk made. Like, the way they worked it into the storyline with FTR felt very just like they were trying to pull something out of it just for the excuse of showing the footage. Maybe that was the case, maybe that's not the case, we'll never know. All we do know is that they did manage to find some way to turn it around and morph it into this huge return for Jack Perry, and, like, people are going nuts for him. Like, he was almost getting like a hero's welcome. It was insane. And that's fine. Like, I'm all for it, you know. Whatever gets you heat or, you know, just attention to your product, especially them, because they need it right now. In any case, Jack Perry comes out, calls out Tony Khan, I want to be reinstated. Tony Khan comes out, he's all smiles and giddy and excited, he's on TV. You know, very, very common Tony Khanism. Extends the hand, they shake hands, they embrace, and Jack Perry gives this like, not evil, it's just like this smirk into the camera. And right at that moment, you're like, yeah, you know something's gonna happen. And I remember seeing some people call back to when Christian did it, and he like turned on Jack Perry. I love callbacks in wrestling. That's all wrestling is callbacks. Jack Perry punches Tony Khan in the gut. Tony drops like a sack of fucking potatoes, forgets to sell, and then realizes he has to sell, which I thought was really, really good. You know, the Elite come out, the Bucks and Okada, they come out, they're like, what are you doing, Jack Perry? What are you doing? What are you doing? And they start picking up Tony Khan, and they almost have him like set up for the EVP trigger. Each of them has one of his hands. And then Okada stops them and it's like, no, don't do that. And then puts his thumbs up, like, bring him up. So they get him set up. They do the fucking Tony Khan driver to Tony Khan. Spikes his head. Tony Khan's out. Everyone's coming out. Even Tony Khan's dad, who I don't think has ever been on AEW television. I didn't even know what he looked like, but everyone was like, holy shit, Tony Khan's dad. I thought that it was really good ending to the show. I'd say it was the high point of the show, for me at least. They kind of saved the best for last, but their distribution and TV time was very strange. Like, I'm not entirely sure why Swerve, who you just crowned as AEW World Champion, got like a 15-20 minute eliminator match with Kyle Fletcher. Just kind of random, very random, and I feel like he didn't get like as much of a hero's welcome as we would have liked to see. That's my opinion, at least. Overall, Dynamite was not a terrible episode. The Mercedes and Willa Nightingale segment was good, hyping that match up, which is great too. Like, I think they're just both a lot better on the mic than Julia Hart was. I know it wasn't really in her character to be on the mic. I'm glad she's kind of getting a break, and I'm glad we're going to see this kind of rematch. And it sounds like it was if I'm not mistaken, it was the last match before Mercedes got injured. So there's a lot of good opportunity for storytelling there. Looks like it's going to happen at Double or Nothing, which is always going to, always a big show. Very excited for that. You got the breakup of the best friends, or at least the Trent splitting off from the best friends, which I don't know what they're going to do there. I'm really interested to see what happens. I hope it's not one of those things where, like, they just forget about Trent, or, like, we can't really forget about Orange Cassidy, and I think him staying with Chuck Taylor is a way to kind of keep Chuck in the loop, because I feel like he hasn't been used lately as much. Oh, well, actually, he hasn't been cleared for a minute because of an ankle injury or something. He hasn't wrestled in a minute. That stuff was really good. They had the parking lot brawl. Great stuff. I think that was on Rampage. I'm still catching up this week from all the TV. Yeah, those are kind of the talking points I had. We'll talk about more with Mufussy in the evening commute. We'll see you then. Alright, people, welcome to the evening commute. As I mentioned, Mufussy is here. Not in the flesh, but he's here.
I am here, and I'm excited to dropkick your evening.
Why don't you tell the people a little bit about your passion for pro wrestling?
Yeah, it's come back over the last few years. Listen, born and raised, I loved wrestling when I was a small child. Galeer did GCW, and then I was like, oh, I like wrestling again, so here I am.
Wrestling fucking rules, and that's why we're doing this. And, and that's why we're doing it with me in a car. You know, it's a very unique format. Many don't dare to cross into this plane of existence, but we did.
The car content. Nobody does car content better than Galeer.
I swear we're probably the only ones that probably do it better than anybody.
Probably.
And we do wrestling in the in the car. We do wrestling in the car. We do it better than your favorite podcaster. I don't care. Dave LaGreca, see you later. Jim Cornette, we don't want you. I listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts. This one's gonna hit different for the folks that choose to put up with the bumpy road noise and the phone microphone audio.
It makes it personal, you know what I'm saying?
What'd you think about Tony Khan getting fucking dropped on his head?
I liked it. It was goofy. His cell, obviously, like you mentioned, it was a little goofy. However, I like that he continued to wear the neck brace during the NFL draft, and it carried over. And everybody in the NFL was like going along with it, but they were like, "Oh, you know, he just shouldn't be moving his neck around if he's injured."
But they were also like hella confused.
Yeah. Everyone played into it well, I thought, and it was just goofy all around, and it makes me very happy.
Oh, it makes me very happy. They're selling along with him.
Yeah.
You know, people were, and that was people's first concern was like, oh, the draft is this weekend. If he's committed to this bit, he will wear the neck brace, and he did. Let me tell you, he can be pretty cringe, but he did what any smart wrestling company owner would do.
It's true.
I was really nervous for how all this stuff would play out, and like I said too, with the footage airing, with the way everything played out, it worked out. They took it and they like turned it into something.
It worked out. I still think they didn't really need to show the footage. It's just kind of there. I don't think it really added anything, and they just kind of like shoehorned it in just because they could.
Yeah.
Like as a response to the interview that you mentioned, but like, I don't know. I don't feel like it added anything to the story in general. I just thought they could have done it without it.
Yeah, I agree. But I also, in the same vein, I think if there was any way to like bring Jack Perry back, this is the way that like if he just came back on any normal day, then
cool, Jack Perry's back. Maybe he's got some heat, but whatever. But like knowing what we know now and seeing what we've seen.
They like set it up. I kind of knew going into the match that was like the angle they were going to go with. Cause like they had like Matt Jackson was wearing like a scapegoat shirt during that like backstage segment.
Right.
And then like, we love Jack Perry so much. Like, you're the problem if you find something wrong with Jack Perry. And I was like, well, now Jack Perry has to help.
Yeah. Right.
Like, that's going to be what happens.
Right.
So I think overall it was a good segment. I have my qualms about Swerve not getting more of a spotlight after winning the world title, but we'll see how things continue this week and for the foreseeable future.
I got a chance to catch some of yesterday's or whenever this is going up. This week's Monday Night Raw. Let's just say that, right? Is that? Yeah. The draft. Let me tell you something about the draft, brother.
Go ahead. You say your thing first, because I'm curious.
I think we're all thinking the same thing. The draft is fucking pointless.
It is so goofy and silly.
Everyone that got drafted, besides the NXT people and then maybe a couple of factions, they were already on the where they got drafted. CM Punk gets drafted.
So I think the way I'm trying to understand it is like, when the draft happens, everything is reset. Everyone is a free agent, and they just reassign them to where they already were with like a few extras.
The thing about the draft that's silly to me is obviously they choose. It's fucking wrestling. They choose where they're going to be, right? So they choose beforehand, but then they go out, right, to announce the draft picks with the cards, and they do it in turns. So they're like, okay, round 1 draft pick is blah, blah, blah. For Raw, and then it cuts to the Raw war room, and they're like cheering.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, yeah, woo! But it's already all written
we
down
got
on
him.
the card.
They already knew.
They already knew. So they should change the format and have them like, I don't know, fucking in the war room announcing who they're picking. Not have it all written down on a card, have some random person go out with the card.
Have a Hall of Famer like fucking Ron Simmons out there.
Or like put it on like a screen instead of it being on a fucking written down card. So it doesn't, you know what I mean?
It's goofy. It's goofy for sure.
What I will say though, I like, for what it's worth, they do a good job at like hyping it up and making it feel like this big event. And like,
yeah, they do.
It's always exciting. Like you get there and then there's like, you know, these, again, the Hall of Famers and like everyone in NXT's like over at the Performance Center, like watching. And then
the coolest part is definitely NXT call-ups. Like that's definitely the coolest part. But just the whole thing in general of like it all being written down on a card and then them cheering like, woo, we got him. You didn't get him. You wrote it down beforehand.
I remember a simpler time of the WWE Draft. I remember it being a lot more exciting, like 15 years ago.
Yeah, and then you had like the randomized screen.
Yeah, and like again, back then it definitely wasn't random either.
Right.
But like you had bigger names just getting, now he's going, like Randy Orton's going to SmackDown instead of Raw. Not like
Randy Orton and fucking,
I don't know, Drew got drafted, CM Punk got drafted to Raw. Like everyone that got drafted, Jey Uso I think got drafted to Raw. Like
none of it mattered. None of it mattered.
Like I saw a clip the other day of Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff, right? They were doing the draft and they were both out there and they said their pick and then the other one would react. So fucking bring out Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, which I know they did yesterday, but bring them both out, have them on separate podiums announcing their picks, and then have them, interact with each other and be like, oh, you son of a bitch, or something like that, like if you're pretending that it's random or like pretending that it's like, this head to head, like lean into it more.
I want to say it's like for a ratings
pop. Yeah. Not even a pop because they do pretty good consistently, but like it definitely like gets more eyes on them because it was like, ooh, wrestling draft, WWE draft, whatever. So it is what it is. And then SmackDown's going to happen. The week's going to go by and then people are going to to that there was a draft. Pretty much. Like, because it doesn't matter.
I think just going through a bunch of the topics here, because we, obviously WrestleMania happened recently, so new champions, people being fucking injured, like Becky Lynch is women's champion now, or women's world champion. It's all over the place.
I had a note about the Battle Royal because I watched that too last week. They were like, this is only the 4th time a world title has ever been decided in a battle royal, and Michael Cole was like, yeah, it's the first time in 17 years. They did a battle royal for the vacant world heavyweight championship, and the fucking Great Khali won.
It is very goofy to have the world title in a battle royal. I love it though. I'm just sad it's no longer mommy's championship.
But now, it's kind of nice because Becky Lynch gets that recognition. I mean, she's already like a star, but like she got that recognition in, her Mania match. And then, you also have Liv Morgan, who's kind of like getting the heat for injuring Rhea Ripley. And you got the whole Liv Morgan revenge tour gimmick going on, which is really cool. And I'm trying to figure out if she is going to be like a full-blown heel or if she can do it better yet. I love Liv Morgan. I've always I loved when she won the SmackDown title a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
I don't think she was
Money in the Bank. Yeah,
I don't think she was in a great position though because she won off the Money in the Bank from Ronda Rousey, and then they just put her up against Ronda like
2 months later, and she got fucking squashed.
So, I'm interested to see where this goes. I think Becky's probably gonna hold it for a while. I don't know how long Rhea's injury is supposed to last.
Did you watch all of Raw?
I watched up until the CM Punk segment.
That shit is so funny, dude. When I was dying at Drew running up there, like storming up there, and then the autograph picture is sitting there, and then CM Punk's music hits and he goes to the ring. Incredible.
It's good.
Incredible.
They've been doing a lot of good little bits
back and forth
recently,
between
and, like,
them.
they're getting really nonsensical with it. Like, also, I love the idea of like a new era again. That, you know, we're kind of like feeling some of the Attitude Era vibes, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
He got like he's like, oh, fucking CM Punk, I'm injured and I'm here, and he goes, yeah, bitch, I'm fucking here too.
He's like, I'm right here, you little bitch.
I really am a big fan of, like, CM Punk is like one of the best names to ever. He's like up there, like easily top 5 for me. I love the concept of him like trolling, like someone like CM Punk being a troll and someone like Drew McIntyre like falling for it is even funnier. He's just like so obsessed with it. And then like there's a brief amount of time where like you know, Punk isn't around, and then he had a bit with Sheamus last week with the burger after burger after burger. It's just kind of like now Drew's heel persona is just always angry and like chronically online.
Yeah, so it's just like dialing everything up when he deals with CM Punk, and it's like it's so good.
I don't remember. I think it was when him and Punk were first like feuding, but do you remember when Drew went on and he like tweeted, he was like, what did I do to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like CM Punk or Seth Rollins? He was leaning into that shit, which I thought was so funny. It's all really good stuff right now.
Yeah, and their back and forth is so good, and it's getting real entertaining.
It's getting spicy. I'm not really excited for Backlash, to be honest with you. I'm not like super stoked on it. It just kind of feels like filler. Like I love that Cody finally made it, and you know, he's champion, but I could care less about him versus AJ Styles because they just haven't made Styles feel like super important.
Right, he's just kind of there.
They'll have a good match. I don't doubt that. The Sami Zayn Chad Gable thing is really where it's at for me.
Yeah, that I enjoy. I think heel Chad is going to be really good, and then the stuff they do with the Alpha Academy with it, I think that'll work really well. Going back to CM Punk real quick, I saw a tweet today of CM Punk was up in like the crowd. He was moving to some room, and there was 2 like girls with a CM poop sign. Did you see that?
No. CM poop.
It said CM poop, and it had the poop emoji, and he had a cameraman with him, and he started fucking cackling, and he's like, I'm signing that, and we're taking a picture right now. So he signed the CM poop sign, and then he went back to, you know, where he had to go. But it was so funny.
That's really good. I love that.
It was just so funny.
When he like first returned, I was like, I wasn't buying it. I was like, man, he's probably just gonna fucking collect the paycheck and like call it, but like it actually looks like he's genuinely having fun, which I love.
Yeah, he's having a good time.
But again, they're also paying him a boatload of money. Like they're probably paying him
they're paying him a fuck ton of money, but also it's because we saw like the AEW stuff. So I think again, if you're just a WWE fan and you don't watch AEW at all, and you didn't see any of CM Punk's run, which would be insanely hard to miss.
Yeah.
You don't see any of CM Punk's AEW run, and then you see him come back. It's like, oh my God, this is CM Punk. So, because they didn't see like the fucking shit that happened, the shit storm.
Yeah. Again, hard to miss.
Yeah. So coming back to WWE and him having a good time, it's just good to see.
Yeah, he's definitely. I'm excited for when he actually wrestles a singles match, because barring his match with Dom Mysterio and the house shows, like he's only done the Royal Rumble since he's come back. He's looking to be on track for like SummerSlam, I think. They just need to stop getting injured.
I know, the injured list is so fucking big right now.
And it's all the good guys. You got Punk, you got fucking Seth, you got MJF, who I talked about earlier, which is, you know, such a shame because, you know, he's great. And then you got like people like Kenny. I know Kenny's coming back to Dynamite this week, but I'm pretty sure he's still like fucking figuring out all the diverticulitis shit, which so there's a lot of people on the injured list right now. Rhea, you know, Julia Hart's injured. Everyone's getting hurt, man.
I think I want to wrap up the little evening commute that we've done here. I think this was again, this is the first episode. This is the first episode.
That's true. The first episode of the greatest commute you'll ever hear.
Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you for having me on your evening commute, and don't forget to Dropkick the morning.
Yeah, and smash that dropkick that like button, baby, or the.
Yep. And add to a playlist. Smash the bell icon.
Hit the guy.
Hit the guy.
Are you at a stoplight right now? Hit the guy next to you.
Ram into the car in front of you because you're too busy laughing at us. You're not paying attention. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Woo, yeah. We'll see you on the next commute.